Hello, this is Peter Shapsky, and I'm going to show you how to make an indicator dashboard for OSCAR19. Now here we have OSCAR19 running on Firefox, the best browser we have, and let's look at the dashboard. You can see that we have got a number of ones loaded. One of the ones that we have loaded, let's say, is COVID at risk. So let's have a look at that. And you can see that we've written a number of dashboards, indicators for this. So COVID at risk would be obesity, patients on immunosuppressive drugs, and chronic kidney disease. And you can see the data is displayed in various ways. Let's focus in on patients on immunosuppressive drugs because I haven't actually released this dashboard before, and I've just written it today. And I'll show you how to set something up like this in your own OSCAR19 instance. Now, you have to be able to know how to do SQL. You'll need to do an SQL to do the numbers, so to speak, here. So here we have a pie chart with a number of people on methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, prednisone, leflunomide, monoclonal antibodies, and azathioprine. These, and then you have also a drill down, which will show you patients, the individual patients that are on these medications. And so there's two different queries. Both of them should be tested before you go ahead and endeavor to make a dashboard indicator. I use PHP MySQL, and so let's go ahead and see that our SQLs are actually working. So we just put this one together here, which is basically selecting the numbers on methotrexate and so on and so forth. And these are the types of labels that are going to be used in the indicator. And let's check to see that it goes. Indeed it does. So it shows 4 on methotrexate, 1 on leflunomide, 4 on hydroxychloroquine, 14 on prednisone. So that's 4 plus 1, that's 5, plus 4 is 9, plus 14 is 23 patients. Okay. Well, let's see if we've actually made a suitable SQL for each of the patients to show and to drill down. And so this is similar to the SQL we're going to use for the drill down. It won't show any patient data, of course, but we'll count to see if it makes any sense. And so we've got 23 patients who are on these drugs. Okay, so we're actually in business in terms of that. So let's proceed and look at the indicator XML format, the standard blank template. And if you go to World OSCAR and you look up the how to use the indicator dashboard, the very bottom you have sort of a blank template there for rolling your own. So you can just cut and paste that one. Control C, and then you put it into an XML editor or a notepad, doesn't really matter what you use. And here you go. And so this is where it's pasted into a online editor. And so where we start with the editor, and we put in whatever you want for the author. It'll be you. The category. This is a broad category of related indicators that shows up in the blue bar. So let's call it vulnerable populations because we're going to be using the same one. If you remember, for our indicator, for COVID at list, the blue bar is here, vulnerable population. So that codes that. The subcategory, that's the gray bar entry. So patients on immunosuppressive drugs is what we're going to use here. So the gray bar is this one. So instead of obesity, we'll have patients on immunosuppressive drugs. specific indicator's name, which is immunosuppressed. So that's the third entry. So it's going back there. So that would be the immunosuppressed line there. You can leave the set name and label blank. Usually a definition, we use something a little bit more expansive. So providers population, age 18 and older, who have a current or recent prescription for immunosuppressive drug. Framework doesn't matter. Notes doesn't matter. Although I put in the version number here. And then we go ahead and cut and paste some queries into it. So let's have a look here. So indicator query. There's a number of parameters and ranges, but really let's get down to where the indicator query gets placed. So indicator query, here we go. And we have a query here. So let's stuff that there and then hook it up. So this is where we get, as I said, we put the query that we previously checked to make sure that it works. And we basically have numbers, sums of people on methotrexate and so on and so forth, and put in there. And so we need to take some of the parameters that we could probably leave it like this, but usually what we would want to do is to take the parameters and the limits that are identified in the XML and stuff them in here. So let's see what the parameters are. Pretty much you can put in whatever parameters you want, but most people will end up using provider and P status, so provider. So let's say you can't, because if you just leave it hard-coded to provider 101, it's not going to work for you. So you're probably going to want to put in provider here. $, open brace, close brace, and then whatever the name of the parameter is, provider. So we just checked that. So provider is spelled properly, okay. And the same for here, instead of active, we will use $, open brace, close brace, P status for patient status. Okay, so we see that. The other thing that we want to do is that we also have a limit, okay, lower limit, okay, for age. So instead of 18 here, we'll put, again, we go with the same notation, $, open bracket, close bracket, lower limit dot age for a numerical parameter. Okay, so that part is already done, and so that gives you the graph that we see in the opening page of the indicator. So for here, that would provide this graph for that. Now let's go down to the drill down query, which is a different story. So we have our second query, the one that selects patients, and we stuff it down below. So drill down query here, craft your query to provide values for the display in expert columns. There we go. So select, you don't actually have to select anything in here. You select star would probably work the best. So I'm going to do select star. Because then you can access any of the information from the resultant table in the columns. So selecting star is what I recommend. But the actual stuff that you want in the columns, you'll probably steal from your SQL. So let's have a look here. So we've got standard ones, demographic. I'm using DE instead of D, so let's put DE for demographic table. And I'll give you the demographic there. The name will be DE.lastname, DE.firstname concacted. And the title will be primary patient name. Date of birth will be DE, year of birth, DE, month of birth, DE, date of birth, and so good. So we need a few more columns to give the information that we want. So let's fix that up. Column name, we'll have a unique name. It's probably good form to do that. Unique IDs rather. So we'll call it, we'll be using RX date, RX date, and in this case we'll be pulling out the this thing as the date. Control C, and so the name, for the name you use the SQL what you want shown, and the title will be the thing on top of the column that indicates what we're talking about here. So RX date. Okay, you can do that, and so on and so forth. At this point in time, I mean, even if, usually what we would do is hook up the export columns, and what I'll do is I'll just, like pretty much everybody else, just copy in what you had as display columns. They don't have to be the same. Your display columns and the export columns can be different. The export columns are present so that you can download something for your spreadsheet, but usually for most purposes you use the same export columns as display columns. The drill down actions would be certainly in terms of what you can do. So you can probably set ticklers. If you want to set ticklers, you can have an action ID like this one, diagnosis update. So this allows for bulk diagnosis updates for the selected patients in the drill down. In this case, we're going to have to pick a ICD-9 code, and for immune suppression, I will pick 2799. I've already checked to see that this code is present in the OSCAR database, and it corresponds to that which I want, which would be immunosuppressed and not otherwise specified. And you can also do patient status update. You can also set patients inactive. For the drill down, you will probably also be going ahead and parameterizing the active status and so on and so forth, so that it works in everybody, and not just the test one. So we can go ahead and so we use the parameters are set for the drill down here. They actually use the same conventions, or we usually use the same conventions as before. So $, open brace, close brace, and that will be provider provider, and the status would be $, open brace, close brace, P status, and the lower limit. So $, again, open brace, close brace, and the convention is lower limit.age. Okay, so I think we've got it all ready to go. You save this onto your desktop. You upload it into OSCAR as demonstrated in the manual here. So you will go ahead and go to Dashboard Manager, and you will upload it into the Dashboard Manager, and picked in this particular case COVID at risk for this particular indicator, and then Bob's your uncle. So I hope that's helpful for you. All the best. If you have something that works, remember to share it with the OSCAR community. We're here to help, and we can together we can make it better. Thanks.